Storybook Brawl was nice enough to send me some dust codes, so I'm doing another giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today I wanted to take a look at a game of Storybook Brawl that is super scrappy. And I've been uploading a lot of games like this recently where I don't really have an idea of what comp I am playing exactly for pretty deep into the game, and this game is chief among them, to the point where I don't think you'll be able to guess where this one is going. Now, we do have some hints that we are potentially going to start off by tripling a Wizard's Familiar. So what I'd like you to do is go down to the comments and comment. You can include the word spell, maybe because we're picking up all of these Wizards Familiars, but include the word spell if you want to be entered into the weekly giveaway. But then comment what comp you think I'm going to play in this video. And then in like 5 minutes, I'll prompt you again to answer the same question, and then 5 minutes later, we'll ask the same question yet again. And let me know where you think this one is going. And now you got a little bit more context clues if you had said the Great Library card. I make a little bit of a mistake there and thought that I could have picked up the Tiny, sold it, picked up the Cindy and the Sure Shot, just messed up the math there. I thought I was going to be able to do both, but I really want to pick up the Sure Shot and flip it with the Shard, so that way I can start to grow this Wizard's Familiar and potentially just have a little bit more stats going into this combat. Not going to be enough for us. We're still going to lose to the upgraded Humpty Dumpty from the Fates, but we can start to just grab a few more stats along the line here with roll of the die, and hopefully picking up some nice stuff pretty soon. So one of the things that is going to keep us on our toes a little bit throughout this game is our Polywoggle, and just trying a few different Polywoggle strats out throughout the video. And Polywoggle is a character that I like a decent amount on Sharon. I do also like the Wizard's Familiars. Namely, I like Wizard's Familiar because it is a unit that you are naturally going to keep around anyways because it's a scaling unit. And if you are going to keep it around anyways, it's just a good unit to grab your Sharon buffs. Polywoggle is really what we want the Sharon buffs on here, though, because eventually the Polywoggle will be able to slay just due to those Sharon buffs. Go for a Genie's Wish, get a roll of the die. Not the best use of our gold, but it's still +4/+4 to the Wizard's Familiar, so it's not the worst thing in the world here either. And then one other thing that I do enjoy doing with Sharon as well is throwing a ranged unit in the front line. And hopefully Polywoggle can slay and grow the Shadow Assassin, but if not, maybe the Shadow Assassin just gets attacked into, grows from Sharon in that way, and is still giving us a better board presence. So that's all that we're trying to do right now. Potentially we'll move into something with Shadow Assassin. Potentially this Polywoggle will turn into something awesome for us. If Polywoggle is unable to slay this turn, which looks like it won't be able to, but next turn we will probably just hope that it dies first again, which is pretty likely to with this absolutely massive Wizard's Familiar and a ranged unit in the front, and then we'll try to slay with it next turn. So that's kind of the idea that we got brewing up here. We could even move Polywoggle into slot 4, which also helps with that, both in helping that the Polywoggle dies and helping that the, I guess that's mostly it. Help that it dies and then help that it doesn't slay. I'll clue you guys in a little bit. I'm actually very tired as I am recording this video, but I think that might work because this game is like a very disorienting game regardless, that I think the fact that I'm tired, my commentary might be suffering a little bit for that, but hey, we'll just say that it's intended. It adds to the video because we don't know what's going on in this game. I'm gonna pick up an Ogre Princess as well because that is a fine unit to have die for our Sharon buff. I don't mind getting some buffs on the Ogre Princess Poliwaggle. Not going to slay, it is going to go down, and then we are going to wind up losing this combat. Moving on to 4.0 though, now we are going to look to have Poliwaggle slay, and we've got this Mad Mim, so there is some nice stuff that we can do with that. We could frontline one of these ranged units if we decide to go that route. We could also go Feasting Dragon. I like using some of these Slay units with my Sharon buff, like I said. And speaking of which, what comp do you think we're going to play by the end of this video? Go ahead and edit your comment down below now. Do you think we are in for slaying for the long haul? It's kind of like a tell, right? Because I'm like, okay, here we are picking up this Wizard's Familiar and this Great Library card. What do you think we're going to play? You think we're going to play spells? You think we're going to play mages? Oh, well, here we are picking up all of these Slay units. What do you think we're going to play? Think we'll play Slay? Nah. This game is definitely going to wind up being a little bit on the sillier side. We're not going to get the Slay with Poliwaggle, but it will get the Sharon buff, and then we do get the Feasting Dragon buff. And then I think we just have enough stats here with our ranged unit to take down the Peter Pans. So one thing that's interesting here is growing the Poliwaggle and growing our other Slay creatures. Obviously very good, but we're on 4.2. We're on a 0.2 turn again, which means either we want XP, which we find, or we want to be able to not slay with this Poliwaggle. Now, I'm going to go ahead and find XP, and it's just good. I think that part of the reason that we don't really have a comp for so much of this game is it really just is an XP game, and XP is so good with just these Poliwaggles at most points, and we've had a high enough health total that I think that we've played this fine. So I guess if you said XP in one of your two comments, the second comment might have been a little bit too soon. But yeah, you're definitely not wrong if that's what you say, because we've got the Great Library card, and that is a huge part of this game, but we are going to get a little bit of info here. Well, two different conflicting pieces of info. Are we going to play Bearstain, or are we going to play Pumpkins? Either way, we're summoning something. So, gotta be summoning something. What do you think we are going to find ourselves up to? Well, a lot could come down to what we roll into this turn. We could find a Baby Bear. Probably don't want the Black Cat, though it is synergistic with both of our units, but probably definitely looking for Baby Bear, or we could look for Nyan Sea Terror. It's not really good with Bearstain, but it is good with Pumpkin. One thing that I am definitely looking for, I'll let you guys in on this piece, definitely looking for Shard of the Ice Queen. And we find one right here. We do also find a Time Flies at the exact same time, so kind of awkward timing, but we are going to wind up sharding our Bearstain, and the reason for that is it was just so free to try to find another evil unit, and we didn't really find too much that paired up with the Bearstain, and Bearstain doesn't really have any synergies with our Pumpkin. So gonna roll off of that. We'll see what else we can find ourselves up to here. Pumpkin, I think, still pretty decently big for this portion of the game, and Oni King also not too terrible for this portion of the game. So that's going to allow us to win against Loki. Hit him for 11, though. We only needed to hit him for, they were at like 2 or something. And then it's pretty hard to pass up these Nyan Sea Terrors here before moving on to 6.0. And we get to pick up a Hand of Midas. Hand of Midas going into 6.0 has got to be the pickup. That is very sweet. But what do you think we're going to wind up playing? We could really play anything with this comp. There's nothing that we're really locked into at this point. And I will bring up that similarly to the Shard of the Ice Queen, one thing that I'm really looking to do on this current board is True Love's Kiss, the Nyan Sea Terror. And maybe that will give me a sense of direction. If Nyan Sea Terror turns into something good, if we can Hand of Midas something good, there's a lot of really good options here still at play. We are going to be playing up against a pretty high health The Fates that was working with some Humpty Dumptys earlier in the game, and the Easter Egg Treasure. Those have since been dispensed, but they still have a pretty strong board thanks to some of their treasures in the backline. Cupid will help us clean up a lot of this, and then Oni Tyrant will bring it home. So now we're 6.0, and we get to pick up an upgraded tier 6 unit. Just gotta figure out what exactly we want that to be. I roll past the drink me potions. I think that we'll find a True Love's Kiss eventually. We find a knighthood before we find that. And here we have an option. We could go dwarves. And I'm taking a look at what level everybody else in this lobby is at. The fates that we just played up against is still on 5.0. And for me, that's not enough for me to pick in. So I'm going to go for an It Was All a Dream spell. And which of these do you think we're going to go for? We can go for Celestial Tiger or Potion Master, which are kind of troll because with the Great Library card, it'll make it so that we see less units in our shop. So those are kind of terrible. The options are Sphinx, so that we can dream again, or Trophy Hunter, so that we could try to potentially make something work. And Trophy Hunter with Pumpkin King is kind of interesting. I'm going to wind up locking for the True Love's Kiss, and we'll see if this 9 Sea Terror can bring us home with an upgraded tier 6 unit. If we get a Build Around Me tier 6 unit, that allows us to roll for an additional copy of that or something complementary in the case of trees with our Hand of Midas, and from there we can do something cool. We do get to do something really cool there, which is Trophy Hunter slaying with a Pumpkin King. But how about this one? Well, we're back to spells. So, where do you think we're going from here? What do you think we want to put together? We can pick up an upgraded monster book. I decide that is not good enough. We can't Shard of the Ice Queen anything from here. And then, you know what I see? I see a Hercules play. I think this is a pretty good spot to pick up Hercules. We're still up in XP against the rest of the lobby, so I think that this is a really good pickup. It should activate in 1 to 3 turns pretty easily. That'll give us a tier 6 treasure, and that will give us our build around option. We can also Shard of the Ice Queen this Hercules after completion, which definitely isn't off the table, but for right now we just have a bunch of stats. I wouldn't really say that we have a dedicated comp together in any aspect. However, there's still some ways that this can go. If we can find 9th Book of Merlin off of the Hercules, then we are 9th Book of Merlin Trophy Hunter with an upgraded Storm King already in tow. That could be really good. That's definitely an option down the road. I don't know if it's a good enough option that I might just want to dream out of Trophy Hunter though. I think short of that, which is already pretty good, Trophy Hunter isn't giving us too much, so I wind up dreaming, and I think Morgan is a huge hit here. This, along with the Hercules, can really give us a sense of direction in terms of looking for level 6 treasures. If any of my level 6 treasures are 9th Book of Merlin, especially like 9th Book of Merlin Mimic Chest, then we are really cooking with gas. We could also potentially find a Pandora's box in these scenarios, which I like a lot too, so that is pretty good. I am eyeing up, will Good Boy potentially work with Hercules? And the trick here isn't that Good Boy helps Hercules. I think that Hercules is going to help the Good Boy. I'm looking at my board. I still don't really have any sort of a comp. I know we have a Pumpkin King, and we've got a bunch of evil units, but so many tier 6 treasures just work so well with Good Boy. So because we might lose this combat and get 2 tier 6 treasures this turn, I think I'm just going to want to pick up a Good Boy earlier rather than later. So that is the reason that I go for that here. I'm not sure if it's going to be, it's going to come down to if we are able to scam down this hippocampus. And actually we can. With just a bunch of cupids, we are not going to be able to take down this hippo, which means we're going to grab 2 tier 6 treasures this turn. Spear is pretty good with Good Boy, but Mimic Chest has got to be good with whatever we get, and what we get is Embiggening Stone or Wand of Weirding. No 9th Book of Merlin, was still really holding out hope for that, but Mimic Chest alongside Embiggening Stone I think is good enough. Awkwardly, we are going to see 3 spells in our shop again, which is annoying. We could go for a Polywoggle play though, yet again, and figure out what we're going to be playing next turn. Sure, why not? Let's go for it. We'll figure out what our comp is next turn. For right now, let's pick up 2 Polywoggles. Told y'all this is one of the silliest and scrappiest games that I've ever played in Storybook Brawl, because It's the top 4 of the game, and I still have absolutely no idea what we are going to wind up playing. I see that my opponent has got a Prism plus a pair of Good Boys, and that is a little bit scary. It also kind of means that my Polywoggles are really not likely to slay here, but I do get the 50-50 and get one of them. I'm also going to get a tier 6 treasure, which I can now replace my great library card with, and we got a Jormungand. So not super great luck on any of these transformations, but now we can take Phoenix Feather Mimic Chest or Spear of Achilles Mimic Chest or Pandora's Box Mimic Chest. I'm going to go for Spear just because I think that that is the safest play, and then kind of want to put in some good units on this board so that we have something. So I'll pick that up, and then I'll go for a free roll here, probably just putting the Polywoggle in after that. Could go for Bear Stand plus Baby Bear. We are really incentivized to add some Good Boys to this board, and we roll and actually find one. So I think we are going to try to make use of that. Just absolutely massive shops. It's not really a... like, I'm not sure if I should even be playing this Polywoggle, but I think it's fine because I don't really want to play the Pumpkin or the Cupid in either of these scenarios. I'm just going to hope the Polywoggle is big enough. It'll attack for 37 with the Mimic Chest plus the Spear of Achilles, and then we're also hoping that the Polywoggle turns into something that's good enough for us on the current board. We are actually just going to be good enough against this dwarf player that we wind up not dying with all of these Mimic Chest Spears. A very close combat, and now we get to play up against the Ghost, so a little bit of a reprieve, but I still gotta figure out what the heck I'm doing here with this comp. And as I start to think about it, I probably don't want Evil Twin, despite that giving us another tier 6 treasure. I'd much rather just try to pick up a Good Boy, but Court Wizard, I think, is something I can actually get behind. Court Wizard with this setup is already quite big just to start the turn, and I'll also go for a Spinning Gold because we are up against the Ghost, and I think that that might be good for us. I am debating picking up a Friendly Spirit here because it's kind of large to begin things with. Kind of hoping that we can get the Slay with Polywoggle, or that I could have found another Polywoggle this turn. Believe it or not, I would have put that in because we could have potentially just got multiple Polywoggle Slays, multiple chances for some other good ways out of this. But definitely a chaotic game of sorts. Polywoggle looking reasonably strong against a summons comp that we might be able to slay. Spear Mimic Chest just seems so good with the Court Wizard if we are able to make it work. Unfortunately, Polywoggle fails to slay, so that is going to be a little bit annoying. We'll still beat the Ghost pretty easily, but I definitely want another Court Wizard if we can help it. Court Wizard just works so well with this treasure setup that I am more than happy to pick that up. And now I just kind of want some more Royals. I'm going to throw out a Masquerade Ball here because we could see some tier 6 units. And from there, I think I got to pick up some Royals. And we are up against Good Boy Prism. So I'm not loving my chances here. This Fates has been basically on top of the lobby for most of the game. But if we are able to do it, I think this would be the way. We are basically playing a Radiant Prism game of our own accord here with these massive Court Wizards that just get to trigger off everything, and hopefully that could be enough. I'm also going to wind up picking up Romeo and Juliet on the final turn, just because my Court Wizards get so big as long as they are getting some triggers. So we'll see how good this winds up being against a Radiant Prism player. Generally, that is pretty strong, and they've put together an upgraded Good Boy, and they have a Court Wizard of their own. If they didn't have a Court Wizard, I think we actually have a shot here because we take out their front line. Yeah, they have a Court Wizard though, so they are going to be able to take us out, and that is going to be all she wrote there, as Court Wizard just gets to take out our entire team. Pretty cool game, pretty fun, pretty scrappy. I thought this one was very silly, really, because I'm presenting a final comp here that is all just units I have purchased in the past 2 or 3 turns of the game after finally figuring out my treasures. Took me a little bit long this time. I don't think that this is a horrible game to showcase though. because despite seeming so silly, I will say that I think I got a little bit unlucky this game in that none of my Pollywoggle Slays really wound up being anything that I could count on. But if just one or two of those Polywoggles or Mix-a-Wizzles or shards of the Ice Queens had turned into trees or other relevant units that I could have used, I think I would have been set up very, very well in this endgame where I kind of turbo rushed the XP and then wasn't really sure where to go from there. I just never really had a huge sense of direction. Eventually I found one. It was just a little bit too late. That is going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven, looking very forward to what you guys predicted this comp to be, but that is going to be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace. Here's the details for my giveaway this week. Just leave a comment on any of my videos that includes the word spell. New week, new code word. And you'll be entered into a chance to win a 4,000 dust code. The reason that I say to include the word, that way I can differentiate between the people just leaving a comment and those that are actually interested in the dust to make sure that it goes to a person that will appreciate it. And there's no limit to how many times you can enter. You can go back and comment on some of my previous videos. I've been uploading daily Storybook Brawl videos for the past 7 or 8 months at this point, so I'm sure there is some sweet content that you have yet to see. And yeah, you can enter multiple times. I will do a new code next week, and the other thing that I wanted to say is that if a bunch of people enter, I will give away more codes. So that's just going to be limited by how many people are entering and how many people are commenting. Let's get this channel to over 1,000. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.